The 2024 presidential race is already taking shape, and while that might be the highest profile contest next year, it is certainly not the only one that will have a critical impact on your life. 34 Senate seats and maybe even control of the chamber will be decided next fall, along with every seat in the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, voters in 11 states will also be choosing their governors. So today, we are launching a new segment called On the Ballot. From now until 2024 elections, that's next November, y'all, we will be taking the time to highlight some of the most consequential races around the country. And we're starting with the race for governor in North Carolina. Politico is reporting that this gubernatorial race could end up being one of the most expensive governor's campaigns this cycle. And because the current governor, Democrat Roy Cooper, is term limited, we definitely know there will be a new person leading the Tar Heel state. Joining us now is one of the candidates vying for that spot, Democrat Josh Stein. He is currently North Carolina's Attorney General. Mr. Attorney General, welcome. Thank you for being here today. Let's start with abortion. A new law banning most procedures after 12 weeks of pregnancy went into effect in North Carolina just yesterday. Governor Cooper vetoed this bill, and the legislature had the votes to override it due to a Republican supermajority. Now, you have said that you will not defend parts of that law in court. But as governor, what would you do to defend abortion rights? What steps would you take?
I will fight like hell for the women of North Carolina to be able to make decisions about their own bodies, their own futures, their own families. These decisions about reproductive health care are perhaps the most personal decisions that anyone ever makes. They need to be made by that person. The government should not be mandating for women that they have to give birth. Politicians in Raleigh should not be making these decisions. There is a new law that you just referenced that went into effect yesterday, and it dramatically reduced access to abortion in North Carolina. But what is on the ballot next year, the limited access that remains, because the gentleman I will likely be running against has said that if he were governor with a willing legislature, he would ban abortion in its entirety, even in cases of rape or incest. He cannot win. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that women continue to be able to make their own healthcare decisions.
Let's talk about the makeup of the state legislature. There is currently a Republican supermajority in the state legislature. I'll note the supermajority came about because a Democrat did switch to become a Republican. If you're elected governor, how do you plan to deal with this supermajority? How can you say you'll get anything done if they have the votes to literally override key pieces of your agenda?
Well, fortunately, there will be 170 elections affecting our General Assembly in 2024, just like my governor's race. And so I do not accept the fact that there will be a supermajority after the 24 elections. A good, aggressive outreach program can defeat a bad gerrymander. And that's exactly what we're going to do here in North Carolina. I'm going to win the governorship. That is a necessary but insufficient condition. And then we are going to pick up seats in the legislature to ensure that my veto has power, and that will force the Republican legislature to have to negotiate.
We had a series of stunning decisions from the Supreme Court this week. Let's talk about the affirmative action ruling. The University of North Carolina was one of the schools at the heart of that ruling that ended race-conscious admission policies. What impact will this decision have on diversity in North Carolina schools? And what would you do as governor to make sure all students get a fair shot at higher education?
We absolutely have to have exactly that. Everyone has a fair shot at higher education. Everyone has a fair shot at a better life. That is the fundamental promise of this country, is that people have an opportunity to build a better future. And unfortunately, the U.S. Supreme Court, in two decisions, the UNC admissions case, which my office had defended, and the Biden targeted student loan relief plan, those were big defeats for this country, because the Supreme Court is now making it harder for minorities and harder for people from working families to make it ahead in their futures. And so as governor, I will be committed to doing everything I can to make sure that our community college programs remain incredibly affordable, and that we keep costs of higher education as low as possible, because we have to open the doors of higher ed in order to open the door of promise and opportunity.
Parts of a major new gun law went into effect this weekend in the Tar Heel state. Now, this particular law is also another example of the legislature overriding Governor Cooper's veto. This law allows people to buy a handgun without a permit. What are your concerns right now, and what do you say to North Carolinians who are wondering if they are safe anywhere they go in the state?
People have the right to feel safe in their home, in their neighborhoods. Parents should not worry if their kids are out playing in the neighborhood after school or over the summer. And North Carolina is less safe today because that law went into effect. There is too much gun violence in North Carolina and across this country. It is now the leading cause of death of children in this nation, which is unacceptable. So we need to take common sense measures like background checks to make sure they don't fall in the wrong hands of violent people. We need to have red flag laws to make sure people who are a danger to themselves and others can't access guns. We need to make sure that our communities have violence interruption programs and after school programs, community solutions that can help reduce gun violence. And so as governor, I will advocate for those kinds of initiatives because we have to keep people safe. That's one of the most fundamental jobs of state government, is to keep the people of the state safe.
North Carolina Attorney General and Democratic candidate for governor, Josh Stein, I appreciate your time here today. Thank you.
Thank you.